This episode opens with grandfather Will resolving to unveil his true lineage and discuss Lawana's prospects, along with his own troubled history. He announces, "My given name is Will Seeker," stunning everyone present. Alyssa, remembering a certain photograph, murmurs, "So the gentleman in the portrait is actually grandfather Will?" She then inquires, "Why would the king's elder brother reside here in Alana?" Shivering against the biting cold, they huddle around a crackling fire. Grandfather Will commences his narrative. "I entered this world as the former king's son. My mother perished not long after my birth. While other children my age enjoyed their mother's company, I was raised motherless. I immersed myself in magical studies, attaining level 80 by the tender age of 10. A flashback showcases his prodigious talent. His instructor commends his exceptional abilities. Will, however, demurs, "I disagree. I dislike boasting. Nevertheless, those entrusted with the nation's leadership require strength far exceeding this." He opens a nearby window and unleashes his magic once more, astounding his tutor with a level 100 incantation. Suddenly, this immense power surges beyond his grasp, triggering a catastrophic event that encases the entire palace in ice. Through divine providence, he survives, but forfeits his magical capabilities entirely. Following this incident, Luke, his younger sibling, is born and ascends to the throne, as Will's lost magic precludes his own kingship. Despite this, Will offers Luke his felicitations on his coronation. Luke responds, "Brother, please don't address me so formally. You are my kin, and I don't wish for you to bow before me. We are family." He continues, "Father instructed me to always offer you my full support. I can assure you I have prepared myself diligently for this task." Luke affirms, "You are truly an exceptional brother, possessing unparalleled wisdom. I depend on your counsel in all matters." Subsequently, Luke collaborates with his advisors to formulate kingdom policies. They confer on matters of governance, ultimately submitting their recommendations to Luke for his sanction. For a time, all proceeds without incident. Then, one day, Luke questions Will regarding certain papers. Will informs him that he has already perused them, explaining that the kingdom's advancement necessitates distributing power among the 5 prominent houses. A review of these documents will illuminate everything, Will assures him. However, Luke dissents, arguing that the detrimental consequences of such power division are too grave. "This aligns with my mother's beliefs, and I concur," Luke declares. Will attempts persuasion, but Luke abruptly silences him. "My decision is final. These documents will not receive my approval." Furthermore, he raises his voice, "I forbid you from dictating right and wrong to me. You are not the king." With that, Luke departs, marking, as Will recounts, the last instance he saw his brother. Shortly thereafter, a man approaches Will, informing him of his immediate exile for purportedly conspiring to assassinate the king. Astounded, Will vehemently denies such a treacherous scheme. It becomes clear that someone has engineered this discord between the brothers. Despite his protestations, Will is savagely assaulted, deprived of his sight, and banished. His tormentor taunts him, "Do you comprehend the gravity of your actions?" Disoriented, Will questions, "Where am I? Why is everything shrouded in darkness?" The tormentor coldly replies, "It seems your eyes have been removed, and you find yourself exiled to this desolate settlement, Alana." This signifies an accusation of a grievous offense. Touching his empty sockets, Will cries out in agony. Returning to the present, Alyssa reacts emotionally. "What a devastating tale. You once mentioned someone who suffered immense loss due to overconfidence in their magical prowess. Were you referring to yourself?" Will confirms, "Indeed, that was my experience. That is why I have consistently cautioned you against repeating my errors and succumbing to the same tragic fate." Gil remarks, "You were deeply wronged, and no one deserves such false accusations." Nate adds, "It's unbelievable that your brother exiled you so readily." Paul clarifies, "The official records make no mention of exile. They simply indicate my disappearance. It was Luke's mother who orchestrated these events. Everyone else was aware of the truth." What motivated them? Luke's mother cherished her son immensely, and I must have presented an unwelcome presence. My brother, Luke, remains unaware of my true fate. He likely presumes I am still missing. But if he believed me missing, why didn't he launch a thorough search? Perhaps his mother's manipulations and deceptive machinations poisoned his heart against me. He further reveals, regarding the 3 nobles who supported me, I understand they were also banished to the village of Label. Alyssa deduces, your willingness to share your past suggests a readiness to confront the king directly. Will affirms, yes, I desire to meet with Luke. I want to reveal the truth and implore him to liberate this village. However, before doing so, I must offer him my apologies. I failed to acknowledge his royal dignity. He hadn't respected Luke's regal pride, believing his actions solely benefited the kingdom, yet exhibiting arrogance once more. Alyssa responds, "Perhaps the king will grant you forgiveness if you offer a sincere apology." Will replies, "My first priority is to establish contact with someone. This newfound resolve I possess is entirely thanks to you, Alyssa. I am truly indebted to you." Alyssa smiles, pleased by his words, and playfully suggests, "Perhaps I'm merely manipulating you to seize control of this village." The following morning, Alyssa and Gil journey to the academy. Gil expresses his astonishment at Will's revelation, surprised by his willingness to divulge such a private history. Alyssa explains, "I believe he's committed to confronting his brother to secure Lawana's freedom. That's why he disclosed his concealed past. He aims to restore the village, much like the royal guards." Gil nods and adds, "The village has transformed significantly since my time there. Now, the villagers place their complete trust in Grandfather Will. He strives to meet their expectations by forging a new path for them." Just then, several girls intercept Alyssa and Gil. They profess their admiration for Alyssa, but express disdain for Liz, labeling her a mere commoner who ascended to the student council inexplicably. Alyssa immediately refutes their assertion, explaining that Liz attained her position through exceptional merit. The girls appear surprised, having always perceived Alyssa and Liz as rivals. Alyssa clarifies, "We may have occasional differences, but I respect her abilities." One girl admits, "We acknowledge that, but it's irritating how everyone gravitates towards her, despite her commoner status." Alyssa interrupts sharply, "If you harbor grievances against her, address them directly. Incidentally, the young man beside me is also a commoner, and his intellect surpasses yours. I prefer intelligent commoners to foolish nobles." Offended, the girls depart. Later, Eric and Henry approach Liz after class, extending an invitation for tea. Before they can leave, a distraught Jane arrives. She seeks to apologize to Liz for the previous incident, but Eric dismisses her, stating, "Empty apologies hold no value." Liz interjects, "No, the apology is mine to offer. The incident stemmed from my actions. Had I maintained my composure, none of this would have transpired. I request that everyone cease blaming Jane." Liz then accepts Eric and Henry's invitation, but insists on Jane's inclusion. Jane hesitates, but eventually agrees. As they prepare to depart, Liz's friend cautions Jane, "Do not exploit Liz's kindness. If your apology is genuine, sever your ties with her." As the classroom empties and students traverse the hallways, the same group of girls who previously confronted Alyssa intercept Liz, requesting a private conversation. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to Alyssa and Gil, who are approached by a hurried Henry. He exclaims, "We have a serious situation." Alyssa's eyes gleam with anticipation as she declares, "Excellent. I relish a good challenge." At that moment, their friend materializes, brimming with excitement, and proclaims, "I can't wait to witness your actions, Alyssa," before vanishing as swiftly as she appeared. Nearby, Vin and Curtis are engaged in a ball game. They observe Alyssa and her companions deviating from their usual return route and suspect something amiss. Intrigued, they decide to follow them. Alyssa finally arrives at the classroom where Liz awaits. Liz confronts her, stating, "These girls informed me that you have been slandering me. They lacked evidence, so I wish to inquire directly. That is why I requested Henry to bring you here." One of the girls interjects, "We are certain of what we heard, and here is the proof," producing what seems to be a recording or a written note to corroborate their claim. The girl stated, "We are positive of what we overheard. Here's the evidence." Alyssa retorts, "If you intend to ensnare me, at least utilize earth magic again. Otherwise, this is hardly entertaining." Liz responds, "So you deny speaking ill of me? Then I believe you." Everyone is astonished by her declaration. The girl exclaims angrily, "You don't believe us? She used vile language to insult you." Alyssa says, "I almost pity her." Then Finn speaks up, "Are you certain these three weren't the ones who disparaged her?" These three had indeed been speaking negatively about Liz to Alyssa, but Alyssa had ignored them. "I witnessed it with my own eyes. However, I suspect they became enraged when Alyssa opposed them and are now attempting to frame her. Those insults likely reflect their true sentiments, and they're using Liz to undermine Alyssa." Mel comments, "They are foolish and dishonest. I came to see the strong Ellie, but they've already defeated themselves. They can't even play the victim convincingly." Alyssa thinks to herself, "I need to escalate this situation to maintain my villainous role." She addresses them, "Do you believe someone will rescue you if you resort to cowardly and insolent whining without accepting the consequences? You are beneath contempt." Liz responds angrily, "Even if they were mistaken, Calling them garbage is excessive. Alyssa retorts, are you mocking me? How underwhelming. I refuse to defend those who are less than trash. They insulted me. Eric interjects, can't you perceive Liz's inherent kindness and strength? She's attempting to shield these girls, to protect the nobles, despite their animosity towards her. That is Liz's nature. When a wild wolf appeared at the academy, Liz protected us all, despite her own fear. She possessed the courage to act despite her trepidation. Alyssa questions, how does a creature not indigenous to Dorcas appear within the academy grounds? The girls declare, from this point forward, our trust lies with Liz. Later, Alyssa sits with her sisters and remarks, I miscalculated, expecting a more stimulating confrontation. Gil says, the wolf incident is factual. It occurred during your absence at the cabin. It's bizarre, but true. This suggests the possibility of Label's involvement. Perhaps they're monitoring the saint? If she's the one foretold in the legend, she poses a threat to them. Gil replies, isn't that a rather far-fetched conclusion? Alyssa responds, deploying a wolf is a malicious act. I can utilize this as a model to refine my villainous persona. I aspire to confront Liz on a higher plane. Even today's events were unremarkable. The villainess I admired before my reincarnation was a noblewoman of unwavering conviction, always true to herself. I believe I'm approaching that ideal, but I remain far from becoming the villain history will remember. Nevertheless, Grandfather Will is resolute in his course of action. Alyssa continues, I'll draw inspiration from him. Then Duke approaches Alyssa and inquires, what is this location? She replies, it's my private sanctuary within the academy. As expected of the prince, you have your own designated room. Duke states, entrust the matter of my uncle and will seek her to me. I intended to travel to Lawana, but the village requires attention beforehand. I've maintained sporadic contact with my uncle for this purpose. Alyssa asks, are you aware of Grandfather Will's former companions? Duke replies, don't squander your time dwelling on Label. He steps closer, provoking Alyssa's anger. She strikes him and departs.